All right, let's talk about something that's kind of weird, but also incredibly common. It's that anxiety that creeps in when everything in your life is finally actually calm.
I mean, really think about it. You've hit a stretch of stability. There's no major crisis brewing, no big disaster on the horizon. On paper, everything's good.
But even with all that quiet on the outside, there's a storm on the inside. Your chest feels tight, your mind just won't stop racing, and you just can't seem to relax.
That's the real paradox, isn't it? This unexplainable feeling of dread or nervousness, right when you feel like you should be feeling peaceful. And wow, can it be confusing?
So, before we go any further, here's the most important thing I want you to hear. If this feels familiar, you're not broken, and you are definitely not alone. This is a real, valid experience.
So let's get into the why. Why does this even happen? Why does it feel like our own nervous system betrays us the moment we finally get some peace? Well, it turns out there are a few key reasons.
Okay, first up, imagine your body has been running a non-stop marathon of stress for months, or maybe even years. It gets used to being on high alert, constantly scanning for the next threat. So when the stress finally stops, your body's like, wait, what do I do now? It honestly doesn't know how to power down.
And this just nails it. Your nervous system has learned that being on alert is normal, so when calm finally arrives, it feels strange. And to a brain that's wired for survival, anything that feels strange can register as dangerous.
This is such a perfect way to think about it. You know that ringing you get in your ears after a loud concert? It's kind of a similar thing. Your whole system just needs a minute to recalibrate and relearn that quiet doesn't mean danger, it actually means you're safe.
Now, this next one is huge. When we're going through busy, stressful times, we get really good at pushing difficult feelings aside just to make it through the day. But here's the thing, those emotions, they don't just disappear.
So when all the distractions fade away, that's when these things have space to finally come to the surface. It's that disappointment you never got to talk about, or the sadness you just shoved down. It's the fear you hid, the pressure you endured. It's not a new problem, it's an old one asking for your attention.
I love this way of framing it. It's not an attack. It's more like your heart finally feels safe enough to say, okay, we can deal with this now. The anxiety you're feeling is really just the discomfort of finally processing everything you had to put on hold.
This one's a little more subtle. When you've been through a lot, good times can feel fragile, can't they? You might find yourself just waiting for the other shoe to drop. But that isn't pessimism, it's a defense mechanism you learned along the way.
So that anxiety isn't a sign that things are about to go wrong. It's your heart trying to protect this new peace you've found, even if it's doing it in a kind of shaky, nervous way. It's a fear that's born from wanting to hold on to the good.
And that brings us to our last reason. If your brain has spent years worrying, trying to predict every worst-case scenario to keep you safe, well, that becomes its default setting. It's a habit, like a well-worn path in your mind. And this is the part that is so empowering. You can learn to see the difference between a real threat and just a habitual thought pattern. Just because your brain serves up an anxious thought doesn't mean it's reflecting reality. It's just running an old program.
Okay, so now that we've dug into the why, let's shift gears to the how. How do we start to make that transition from being in constant survival mode to actually feeling safe?
This is probably the most important reframe in this whole thing. That anxious feeling isn't a setback. It's actually a sign of progress. It's the discomfort that comes with healing, kind of like a muscle aching after a workout that's making you stronger.
And you can help this process along. These aren't complicated fixes, just small, gentle actions. A slow breath with your hand on your chest can ground you. A simple mantra like, "It's safe now," can soothe your nervous system. Journaling gets the heavy thoughts out of your head. A short walk can break a thought spiral. And most importantly, just letting your emotions flow instead of hiding them. It's all about allowing, not fighting.
So what's the big takeaway here? Ultimately, it's about a fundamental shift in perspective. It's about learning to just sit with peace, even when it feels a little uncomfortable at first.
And this is what I really want to leave you with. This feeling isn't a warning sign. It's a sign of recovery. It's your heart slowly and bravely learning a whole new language, the language of safety, of calm, of trust. And that is a process that deserves all the patience and kindness in the world.